Hello, welcome to my August 2019 version of my monthly political opinion videos. I believe that it will likely become standard for these videos to be a little bit into the following month from now on. In August, the minutes for the July Oak Hill City Council meetings came out. 2 mass shootings occurred in one weekend. 2 congresswomen were barred from entering Israel. There were fears of a recession, and an Amazonian rainforest fire. Looking at the minutes of the 2 council meetings held in July, during the first such meeting, every single motion had a unanimous vote of 6-0, with Paul Baker absent. These include authorizing 2 Minden structures and another structure to be demolished, authorizing the review of our fireworks ordinances, hiring a police officer, renewing an agreement with Fayette County, and a budget revision of $180. I recognize the importance of all of these, but hope to see lots of big changes in this term as I feel Oak Hill needs. The second of the council meetings saw a 7-0 decision to revise the budget to have $801,879 unassigned in the budget. When during a month a city council has only unanimous decisions and $800,000 unassigned to any project in their budget, I think there might be a problem. Things that are helpful and meaningful rarely come without opposition, and I hope they plan to do amazing things with that $800,000. Because that amount of money could do a lot of things to help our small city. Then, toward the beginning of August, we had 2 mass shootings in one weekend, one occurring in Texas and the other in Ohio. These shootings, as always, brought up the gun control debate. From the extreme of taking guns away, that is nowhere near the majority of the country's belief, left, right, or center, to the overwhelming majority of Americans who support universal background checks and other gun control, referred to as common sense a lot of the time. Look at the data. Regardless of your stance on guns, it is important that we realize that this is a real issue that needs to have a solution soon. The president's approach of blaming violent video games and movies is not the correct approach, though. Scientific studies are inconclusive on whether there is a connection, despite many studies on the topic. The conclusion I draw from that is that while already violent people may be attracted to video games with violence, which for many of them lets them take out violence virtually instead of real life, violent video games have little effect on other people. A good example as to why pretend violence doesn't mean real violence goes back to the time of the serial killer Jack the Ripper. A suspect considered by the police was an actor who played Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and that was their only evidence against him. The police believed that the only way the actor could be so convincing as a fake serial killer was to actually practice killing in the real world, but the man was innocent. Later, 2 United States congresswomen were barred from entering the country of Israel. These were Democrats Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. This occurred due to President Trump pressuring Israel not to admit them due to their criticism of Israel's government, and their support for the boycott, divest, and sanctions of Israel movement. The American Israel Public Affairs Committee disagreed with Israel's decision while still maintaining disagreement with the Congresswoman. What needs to be made entirely clear about this story is that it is not anti-Semitic to criticize Israel's government. Criticizing a government is far different than hating an ethno-religious group. Also, the purpose for the BDS movement is because Palestinians do experience just as much fear and human rights violations as Israelis do. If you take a completely objective look at Israel and Palestine, neither side is on the right side of history anymore. Both sides have committed international crimes against the other, and both sides have broken treaties. This subject is one that religion shouldn't interfere with. This is life or death for both sides. The next story was large stock market swings causing fears of recession once again. If I recall properly, the stock market was down some 600 or more points a couple of times. President Trump seemed to brush away these worries. Looking at how much influence the stock market now has on the U.S. economy, I would say that while the president is not entirely correct, he isn't entirely wrong for doing this either. The stock market is no longer a good indicator of the financial situation of the everyday American for various reasons. But of course, a large enough drop could still cause a recession or depression. I believe that we need financial experts to be handling the policy suggestions while the president acts as the person to calm others. The calmer the people, the less likely a recession is, evidenced by the Great Depression partly being caused by panicked people withdrawing life savings out of banks. The final major story I would like to talk about is the fire in the Amazonian rainforest. The reason that you should care about this is because the Amazon is such a big rainforest that a large majority of the oxygen breathed in by humans around the world is actually all the way from the Amazon. Fires occur a lot in the rainforest because of chance or because farmers want to clear land. We need to make sure that the Amazon stays largely intact, because in addition to the oxygen aspect, many medicines come from plants only found in the rainforest. Not to mention, the sheer size and remoteness of the forest means that there are likely thousands of species of undiscovered animals and plants in the forest. It is not a stretch to say that a plant somewhere in there could have the cure to some of our worst and deadliest diseases. However, the Brazilian president refused $20 million in international aid simply because he was offended by the French president. He later said he would exchange an apology in order to accept the aid. In other words, the Brazilian president was holding undiscovered Amazonian tribespeople, cures for deadly diseases, a major oxygen source, and undiscovered animals hostage to get an apology. The Brazilian president is an adult, yet he is willing to hold so much hostage because he feels he deserves an apology. In Brazil, their president is generally considered to be a tough man type politician, but he showed weakness and that he doesn't care for the greater good in this situation. I thank you so much for watching my monthly news opinion video, and hope it helped you understand more of my political views. If you enjoyed the video, please like the video and/or post. If you want to know my opinions for other months' news, then please subscribe. If you think other people should see this video for whatever reason, then please share it. I'm Colby Lopez, and I approve this message.